Hello everyone, my name is Scouse Mouse and welcome back to another one of my videos. Now in today's video we're going to be talking about farms and a couple of different farms I'm going to show you which will be useful to you early game. None of them are too difficult to build, they're all nice and easy actually, and I'll go through it with you about how to build them and the different uses that you will have for each one of them. Okay, these are all survival friendly, so please stay with me. If you haven't subscribed already, then please do, and let me know in the comments what you would like to see in future videos. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the first one I want to show you is, I just want to talk about farming the old-fashioned way. Just manually finding your crops and throwing them in the ground. Now there's two things your crops will need to grow. The first is sunlight, so don't put them underground and don't leave them without any water. You can put them underground, but you will need lots of light down there so they will grow. With water, one water source block will irrigate 4 blocks in any direction. So I've done it this way here to show you. Let me just get a, oh come on, right, let's get a hoe, and that's not how you spell hoe, you idiot. We're gonna go for a golden hoe today. I'm not feeling quite diamond today. So what I've done here, I've got all the crops planted here within those 4 blocks that I mentioned. Okay, and I've just pretend you didn't see that. Okay, no one seen that. Right around the farm I've put another row of dirt or grass now, and what I'm going to do, I am going to till the land with this hoe. Now after, you can see there almost immediately it's turned back to dirt. It's not hydrated and gone to a dark brown colour like the land where you can see the crops are growing, and this is because it's too far away from the water source block in the middle there. So just make sure, if your farm is going to be bigger than this, that you have that water source block every 4 blocks just to keep the land fully irrigated. Okay. The other thing I want to mention here is when you're growing your crops, they will grow quicker if they are planted in rows like I've done here. So I've got a row of carrots, wheat, beetroot, potatoes, rinse and repeat. They grow twice as... Hey, hang on a moment, we've got an intruder. Get out of here, go on, shoo, shoo. There you go. Sorry about that, so rude, these cows. If you grow them in rows like this, they will grow twice as fast. Now you can have a different crop in the next row, that won't affect it, but if you are growing different crops, try and, you know, put them in rows of different crops. Okay, and that will mean they grow a little bit quicker. If you're growing wheat, you will probably find, if I just harvest this entire row of wheat here, oh, I'm creative, it didn't do nothing. I am such an idiot. You will find out that you will end up with a lot of seeds. Okay, and you'll end up with more seeds than you will ever need. So it's worthwhile, just have near your farm somewhere a composter, and in that composter you can throw all your wheat seeds that you no longer need, and then you'll get some bone meal there. Now I have got a video regarding bone meal. Now you can watch that video and see some ways to kind of automate the process with chests and stuff, just to save you having to do it manually. So I'll link that video here, but you know, you don't have to do that. You can just be plonking the seeds and any other crops that you don't want. If you find out, you know, after a while that 4 million carrots is a little bit too many, you know, you only need 3 million, you know, throw the extra million in here and you'll get bone meal from that, and the bone meal can be used to make your crops grow quicker. This can be really useful early game where you may not have a lot of each type of crop, and you want to get your supplies up nice and quick. So for example, if you only had 1 or 2 carrots and you wanted to start a carrot farm, you could use the bone meal to get those carrots growing nice and quickly, and then you can expand your farm much quicker. So that is a basic manual farm. There are ways of automating this process, and again, I have got a video that shows you an automatic way of doing carrots, beetroot and potatoes, and I'll also link that video here, so click on the little banner thing as it appears in the corner. The automatic one will not work for wheat. It will kind of work, but what you'll find is if a farmer collects wheat and goes to pass it to another villager, he will throw it as bread. So it will work, you will get, you know, something from it, but if the purpose of you farming your wheat is to feed animals for your, maybe your cow breeder, automatic cow farm, sorry, then, you know, it won't really be suitable for that for you. I have seen some videos regarding a fully automatic wheat farm used in villages. The redstone was quite complicated in it, and for these early videos I'm trying to keep the redstone quite simple and make them quite beginner friendly, just so people don't get lost and lose interest. So that's the first farm, and what we're going to do now is move on to the next one. So I'll be back in a moment, and with the next one I'll be actually showing you how to get it built. Okay, welcome back. As usual with the Scouse Mouse video, it started to absolutely bucket down, and that's no good for showing you anything. So let's just get this weather nice and clear. Thank you very much. Right, much better. I can hear myself think now. So this time we're talking about an AFK fish farm. Okay, now this farm is ridiculously easy to build, and it's going to result in you getting not only fish that you can use as a food source or to tame cats and stuff, you can also get from this enchanted books, which can be very useful for enchanting your tools and your armor and stuff. And you can also get some stuff for making potions and those kind of things, and most importantly of all, you can get some nice junk from here that you'll never use. Leather pants, you know, it's quite often to get leather pants and leather boots, which you will probably never ever use, so that's something to look forward to. Now this farm uses a 3x5 footprint, so it's nice and small, nice and compact, and we're going to start by digging out this second, no we're not, what are you, ignore that, I'm just an idiot. We're going to start by placing a block at the front here, and then behind that block we're going to place a double chest. Now remember, when you're putting 2 chests together, to shift click, and at the back we're going to put a hopper, and into that hopper we're going to put a fence post, and on top of that fence post we're going to put a wooden pressure plate. I've chosen oak here, and then on all 4 sides of that fence post we're going to put a lower slab, a lower half slab. Okay, so once that's done, you can then take your bucket of water and waterlog that post. Yeah, what we're then going to do is get our note block and pop it on that half slab at the rear, and then get another half slab. And the purpose of this half slab is so you don't have to put up with that annoying racket every time you're trying to fish. With the half slab, it won't make a sound. Then we're going to need an iron trapdoor, and we're going to pop that on the slab. So now you'll notice when you go near this pressure plate, that trapdoor will open backwards. And that is our build complete. For what are these cows doing? Holy mo, where have they all come from? My word. Okay, so that is the AFK fish farm complete. So if I now get a rod, now this is just a standard rod. What I'd recommend, if you're going to do this a lot, would be to get an enchanted rod. The enchantments that you would want on your rod ideally are mending, law 3, and what's the other one, luck of the seas 3, and they will you know, help you get much better stuff when you're fishing. The way we're going to do this is we're going to aim our crosshairs at that note block, and we're going to hold the right mouse button down, and we're just going to hold that there. Now, with an unenchanted rod like this, it can take 45 seconds for us to get something back. There we go. When you do catch something, you'll find the trapdoor shuts and then opens again, and you can just rinse and repeat. If you want to go truly AFK, you've got a couple of options here. You can either place something on your mouse. I have been known in the past to use a bit of sellotape because I am classy like that. The other option, I'll wait for this to catch a fish again. If you press F3 and T and then take your hands off your mouse, as it reloads that, it's going to keep that mouse button pressed down. So I can now clap my hands, click my fingers, and I am totally AFK. My hands are not on my mouse at all, but yet it will continue to fish away there. So if you wanted to leave it AFK whilst you went to bed, or whilst you were eating dinner, or eating a taco, you know, you could leave this there to do that. And when you're finished, you would just look away, click away, and then you can go into your chest and see what it is you've caught. If you did want to expand the storage here, you can just pop another double chest underneath this one, and then again another hopper going in. And remember, if you do that, the chests will fill from the bottom up. It's also important to know, if you are going to build an enclosure around this, which I would recommend, just to make sure when you're AFK, bad guys are not going to come in and I'll try to think of a nice way to put this, but ruin your day. So mobs don't come in and ruin your day. I'd recommend putting an enclosure around it. But if you're gonna do that, make sure that this water block can see the sky. If it sees direct sunlight, the stuff that you will... Right. Hang on a minute. I really need to just turn the weather cycling off, don't I? But where's the fun in that? Right. Wait for the rain to go off. There we go. Thank you. If that water block can see the sky, you will get better stuff when you're fishing. So always bear that in mind. It's not essential, but it's definitely worth considering. Okay. And so let's move on to our next farm. The next farm we're going to talk about is this semi-automatic cow farm, and this farm will produce both raw beef and leather for you, and it's really simple to build. You could build this as soon as you start your world. It is really early game and it's a really useful farm. Okay, so I'm not going to go into detail of how to build this one, solely because I've done a video on exactly how to build it step by step. So I'll link that video here so you can go straight to it if you wish to see how it's built. Now, the way this works, we've got in here a couple of ladies and gents bobbing around on some on some water. Okay, what I'm gonna do, you're gonna follow me, aren't you? You're okay, I'll let you. So we can see the ladies and gents in here. So what will happen is we will feed them with this lovely wheat that they like, and then if we shoot down here nice and quick, you will see the babies will just the one. That's no good, is it? Come on, you can do better than that. I have been feeding these and testing, so some of them aren't hungry anymore. But what will happen is the babies will shoot down on the water and they will sit here until they grow up. I think it's around about 10 minutes it takes for a baby cow to grow up. When they grow up, they will grow into this full block. Now, adult cows don't like sitting in big blocks like that, so unfortunately it turns them into leather and raw beef. I don't know how that happens, but it happens. It suffocates them, but I don't really want to say that. So they will go into that block, and then the beef and leather will drop into this chest here, and you can do what you wish. I, on this one here, have just put a smoker, just so we can, you know, if you were here, you could just take the beef out and plonk it straight in that smoker, or furnace if you're very early game, and get your cook on, have a little barbecue here. So I will link to the full tutorial of this, and hopefully it will be useful to you. Okay, and on to farm number 4, I think this is. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. Now this is a fully automatic kelp farm. Now, kelp is a plant that will grow underwater and can be used as a food, or you can use this to turn non-water source blocks into water source blocks. So if you're making bubble columns, for example, and you don't want to place a source block at every height, you can just put the water in the top and it will flow down, and as the kelp grows up it will turn each block into a source block. Okay, now for this we're gonna need a 5x4 area as laid out here as usual, and we're going to start on the right hand side and we're going to knock out blocks number 4 and the second one back there, and we're going to place in our chest and our hopper. We're then going to go right round the edge with a block of our choice. Now this can be anything to just fit in with the theme of, you know, your builds. You can do whatever you wish, really. You know what, the 4th row you don't need, it just needs to be 3 deep at this stage. The 4th row is needed in a moment, and we can also place blocks in the middle here. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to build this frame right the way around a couple of blocks high. I'll probably change these middle ones to glass in a moment, so just bear with me. What we're going to do on this 3rd row, on this side, we're going to leave that, and we're just going to go around a couple more layers, again leaving that side. On this side, what we're actually going to do is we're first going to place a normal piston pointing inwards, and then we're going to come round to the back and we're going to place an observer pointing, you know, with the red dot towards ourselves. We're then going to put a block on the back of the piston, and then I've not got it in my inventory here, we're just going to put 1 dot of redstone on that block. Okay, so what that's going to mean is that whenever anything grows up high enough and it reaches the height of this observer, that will cause the piston to fire. So what we're then going to do is we need, I'm just going to get some dirt just due to the wool being there, and I've just got rid of glass, which I will need in a moment because I'm an idiot. We don't need dirt anymore. So we're just going to build up glass all the way up the top here, and I'm also going to do glass there and again here on top of your chest. Now I'm going to go up with the glass 1 higher than the observer, and then I'm going to use my block of choice again and go 1 more time right round the edge. So what we're going to do, we are going to put our first water bucket on the observer itself. What we're also going to do, because I'm a total idiot, is build up in the middle here, up to the height of the observer. You don't want to go that 1 higher than the observer. What we're then going to do is we're actually going to drop down into this water, and we're going to place kelp. If you only had 1, if you were doing this in survival, that's fine, and you can just leave that to grow up. But if you have got more than 1, you can just go all the way up, and you'll see then as it got to the height of the observer, the piston fired and it broke the kelp there. So now we need to sort out how this is all going to be collected, and the way we're going to do that is on the block above the observer we're going to put another bucket of water, and that's going to cause the water to flow across to the right and then down onto the hopper, and then across all of the top here we're going to place half slabs. So that is your kelp farm complete. Now if I turn my tick speed up here, it'll just mean that the farm will fire a lot quicker, and you'll get to see, you know, how quickly this really goes. So you'll see the kelp growing there, piston fires, the kelp goes round, and if I knock this block out, we can see that it's collected in the chest here. So this is a farm that can be just left to its own devices. You can expand this if you wanted, you know, 5, 10, 20 rows of kelp. You can do that. You just need to make sure the water flowing across at the top there is flowing far enough to get it across. So it might be worth only doing maybe 7 at a time, just to make sure, you know, you don't have to mess around too much with the water. Now let me turn this tick speed back down. So we can see in that short space of time, on that super fast tick speed, I know it doesn't really give a true reflection of the output, but we did generate a lot of kelp there. That kelp, if dried in a furnace, can be used as a food source. So it is useful to have around. So that's a nice easy farm. It looks very square the way I've done it here, but you can fancy it up yourself. I'm just showing you how to build it. I am not an interior designer, and you can do it as high as you like. So that is kelp, and let's move on to the last farm. The last farm we're going to be looking at today is an automatic wool farm. Now, as you can see in front of me here, we've got my friend Betsy. Now Betsy, if you didn't know, is a sheep, and sheep grow wool. Now what's going to happen here is Betsy, when she gets hungry, is going to eat the grass that she is standing on. When she does that, the dispenser there is going to spit out a pair of shears and shear the wool from her and deposit that wool down in the chest at the bottom there. So any moment now, drum roll please, nothing will happen because that's the way a Scouse Mouse video goes. So we might just need to get into making it, and we'll hear it going off in the background. Come on, last chance Betsy. No. Well, thanks for being an amazing sport. So we're going to start with a 3x4 area, and we're going to start it in the middle of that. We're going to knock out the first two. I knew you'd do that. I didn't even get to put down my first block. Anyway, we've knocked out the first two at the front there. We're going to place our chest, and then in the back of the chest we're going to place a hopper. And on top of that hopper we're going to place a rail, and then we're going to get a block of choice and just build a little bit of a horseshoe around what we've just built. And the reason for that is so when we put the minecart hopper on, that's not going to go anywhere. And we're going to put a piece of glass there. We're then going to put 8 pieces of grass here, as you can see, but we're not going to put one in this space, and I'll explain why in a moment. Now it's important when you do this that they are grass blocks, not just dirt blocks. If you only have dirt blocks, just make sure that you place some grass blocks like I've put there, and that'll mean the grass will grow up to it. It does need to have grass blocks adjacent so that dirt blocks will grow grass. So once we're here, we're going to get an observer, and we're going to place it facing in to that dirt block in the middle, so the red dot is at the back there. We can then block the back off with blocks of our choice. We're then going to get a dispenser, and we're going to come to the top, and I'm going to place that dispenser on top of the observer pointing inwards, and we can put our shears inside there. Now what that is going to do is every time this block updates, so every time that a sheep eats the grass, it will dispense the shears and remove the wool from it there. So what we're then going to need to do is put 2 blocks high all the way around so that the sheep can't escape. And to finish the deal, we're going to need 1 dot of redstone dust, which is going to go there. And that, once we put a sheep in there, we'll also need that block missing just so we can get access to there. That will mean we can now, if I go a bit higher and I get some, let's get some sheep. Now we want 1 sheep in there, so we'll get our sheep, and we will plonk that in there. Now what I'm going to do, what I'd recommend is when you first put a sheep in there, manually shear it just to kickstart the process. Now I think she beat me to it and just ate the grass, but sometimes you can be waiting a few minutes for them to do that. So if you just do it manually, then you can do that. Once they're in here, you can, you know, dye the sheep. You can use any colour of dye and dye the sheep depending on what colour wool it is that you need. And you can change the colour of the sheep as many times as you like. If you're in a survival world, you could always, you know, there are 16 colours available. You could have them all in a row. If you see my Avatopia, I think the first episode of Avatopia, you'll see my sheep farm there, and I have all the colours there in a nice rainbow, and it really looks good. It's possibly one of my favourite builds that I have on the Avatopia server there. So these are 5 easy beginner farms that we've covered today, and I hope you've got something from it, and I hope you'll be able to take these builds back to your own world and build them and enhance, you know, the builds that you already have there. These can all be fancied up, especially the sheep one. If you do have the sheep all in a line, you know, you don't need to have a chest for each one. What you can do is where you'd have that minecart, that hopper minecart, and make that an actual track that goes backwards and forwards and drops them off at one set drop off point, and that's what I have on the Avatopia one. It works really well, and it does collect a good amount of wool. The kelp is good for food, and you know, all these farms are really useful, and there's no shame in just doing it the old fashioned way. You know, it's a bit more work, but if that's what you're into, then do you. You know, it's about making sure that you enjoy the game and you have fun doing what you want to do. So I hope you've liked this video, and I really do hope that you'll take this away and build some of these things yourself. So I'll look forward to hearing from you all in the comments. And until next time, Scouse Mouse out.